Hey YouTubers, welcome back to the channel. It is fall and things are getting a lot cooler, and I have another project in the works. So let me show you what's going on. So recently I had to restain the front of the garage, and to do that I had to move these planters out of the way. And when I did that, I found out that these planters that I made, at least 20 years ago from locust, and they have little feet that come down, and this started to fall apart. And because my driveway isn't perfectly level, the feet have to be different lengths. So we're going to remake these from ash, and let me take you down in the shop and we'll see what's going on there. Now our planter is going to be 32 inches wide, 20 inches high, 11 inches deep, and it's got 2 tiers. And if you know anything about ash, at least in the eastern part of the US, there's an emerald ash borer, and the ash borer tends to ruin the tree, kills it. And some of the ash that I milled up yesterday from the sawmill does exhibit signs of damage from that beetle, and some of it's not too bad, but it's really not suitable for much in the way of furniture making. So I spent many hours remilling, straightening, using a joiner and surfacing planer, and now we're going to start to put it together. First thing I'm going to do is cut part of the base, because this planter is going to be stacked. So there'll be a lower piece with legs, and then there'll be the main body on top of that, and then the 2-tiered top section. So I've marked a center line where I want to drill for my screws. Set this up on the drill press and we'll begin drilling. So I've set up this little jig to work on the corners, and so we'll apply some glue. This will help assure that we get a good square corner when we start. I want to get this bottom started. When you do a corner like this, you want to make sure that your pilot hole is at least as big as the width of your threads. Otherwise, you won't be able to pull this together very well. Because I just had one of these deck screws snap off, I decided to use a pilot hole, go down through each of these so that won't occur. Had a little bit of twist going on here, so I had to remove a screw down below and kind of start all over. Let's see if we can pull this in a little bit. That should work. And we'll do the screw down here and we'll be done with our first base. Now that we have our base and midsections completed, we're going to turn to the third tier, which takes up half the width of the planter. Okay, again, drilling pilot holes. And we get our screws in there. Get this thing squared up. That's a Phillips screw. We need a different one. Okay. So we'll do all those pieces, get them assembled, and we'll move on to the next step. The old planters have a rubber roof membrane that holds the soil. That way you don't get any internal rotting with soil against the wood. So we're going to remove these cap pieces and see if we can pull up the old liners. These planting beds are kind of heavy and I just can't pick them up and pull them out. So we're going to try just to see if I can maybe slide them out. And we'll see. I don't know if they might even be stapled in there. Okay. That's pretty good. All right, that's pretty good. Just want to show you the inside here. I kind of made a bottom for all the plant material. And you can see that that's seen better days. So locust is a pretty hardy wood. It's kind of a natural preserved wood like cedar. But even so, nothing lasts forever. The next thing I have to do is create some kind of a floor on each side of the planter to support the bottom weight of all that soil. So it'll look kind of like a ladder, and they'll be cut 13 inches long. What I'm using here is pressure treated lumber, and I'm going to cut the side pieces first. Next thing I'll be cutting are the slats. based upon my depth for the rack, I've placed lines so I know where I can attach the ladder supports. And we'll do that now with some brad nails and glue. Okay, put some glue on. Not going to bother spreading that out. I see my line. And then for our second level, this goes in a slightly higher plane. So put that in there. And we'll do both sides on both units and then come back and install the other pieces. Okay, I got our bottom pieces all installed. We'll just put them in place with some 1-inch brads. Don't really need any glue because the weight of the soil keeps everything in place and there's no vibration. Do catch up on a few things. I've cut corner pieces that will go on the planter. The planters have 2 long sides and 2 short sides. So I'm going to cut these to the required length, and then we'll go over to the router table and we'll profile these edges to smooth them off. There's also going to be a cap on each planter because there will be the liner that comes up and gets stapled to this. So that will cover the liner. We're going to add the same round over profile on these pieces. Once I have my miter and my corner on there, that's what it should look like. Okay, so we're ready to do a glue up. I've put some wax paper on the joints just so it doesn't stick to the base material here. I want to make sure I get enough glue on these joints, and I'm just going to tape them. And if the tape doesn't seem to pull them tight, put some clamps on it. Have a damp cloth just to wipe a little of that off. I'm getting squeezed out, which is a good sign. All right, we'll do that corner and then we'll check it. Well, I decided to throw some clamps on there because it certainly made the joint tighter, and that's what I want. Got to cut 2 pieces that look like this so that the one frame can slip up against it. The liner will be tacked to the top. so the lower part of the planter gets a different kind of configuration. So we have to do a little bit of a different glue up. And nothing too hard about it. It just takes a little bit of time. So we'll work on this. Put that together there. Put some tape on it temporarily, just to hold it in place. Then we can do this end piece. Put some glue on the faces. Make sure you have ample squeeze out so you have all your surfaces covered. Okay, it's coming together. I'll put some clamps on that and we'll be done. Before I get onto staining of this, what I want to do is put a protective finish on the inside where the rubber roofing membrane is going to touch the wood, because I noticed on the locust we had some fungus and rot occurring. So this might just give it another 10 years of extra life or so. Don't know for sure, but can't help but to seal the wood. So we'll finish that up and move on to the next step. I want to get my bases pretty level, so I've checked the piece of the base section over here for the legs that I need. But on this side, it's quite different. Got a 3-inch drop on this side, so we're going to cut the legs a little longer. Something I recently realized was that the rubber roofing material that gets stapled here doesn't get stapled up on top of here. So what I have to do is just cut off this bottom piece, attach that piece to this board. The line's a little hard to see, but it's right on that glue joint. So this piece has to be mounted right there. I'll apply some glue to that. Okay, come on. To make the feet a little sturdier, I'm going to be doubling up on the thickness, and so we'll have that much touching the ground. So these two corners are pretty easy to do because the base is flat, but I'll show you over on this side. It's a little different. You have to use a compound cut. So due to the lay of the land, I have to make an angle this way and an angle this way in order for that to fit. And it's always good to clamp this when you're screwing things together. Get at least one screw started. Okay. We're getting near the end of the project, and our next step is to stain. And I'm staining this in a blue and a reddish tint. The reddish tint will be trim colors, so that'll be the corners and the top pieces. And then for the base, there'll be a reddish stripe at the bottom, and above that it will be all blue. So I've taped off the bottom section so I can apply some stain. And we'll go ahead and do that, and once we're done, we'll strip this tape off and go ahead and work on the blue. Okay, we are done with the trim, the red trim, and now we go on to this kind of a colonial blue, which is the same color stain that I use on the house. So we're going to continue doing this. Got what, 4 pieces to do, and then we'll be back. Time to start putting this thing together. Due to a little bit of warping, I had to get some clamps out. This will make sure that the final glue up lasts for many years. So these old liners don't quite fit. But we'll make them fit. So a little trimming and stapling, and we'll get them all situated, and we'll come back and show you the finished product. Well, that'll wrap up this project from the shop. We built 2 planters. The old ones were made from locust, the new ones are made from ash. We'll see how long they last. If you like this project and want to see more, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.